"There's nothing here for you," Bryce yelled at the stranger in the front yard. A beam of silence. The figure outside slowly lifted its hand, clutched a crumpled piece of paper between them, which is then pressed against the window. It was the selfie I had just taken. Instinctively, I laughed. It took a few seconds for the logic to flood into my brain, for me to wonder how on earth a stranger had a printout of a photo I just took. "That isn't ours. No photos were taken here." The photo disappeared from view, then internally raised a single finger, tapping the window and pointing in my direction. "No one else is here." Bryce held his ground for a moment, then closed the curtains. He sat beside me on the living room floor and placed a gentle hand on my shoulder. I was in denial. "How is that even—" "Shh!" Bryce interrupted. "He'll be gone soon." Minutes passed and the tapping finally subsided. Like I said, Bryce broke the silence. I was hoping we'd get a second to settle on first. How does someone even do that? Like, logically, how the fuck could someone do that with my phone? I don't get it. I'm gonna need you to calm down for a second. Bryce, what the fuck is going on? With a grim and relentless shuffle, he shrugged to find the right words. So, he finally spoke. "Let's rewind a bit. I moved to a new town for a job that I couldn't turn down. Right? When I got here, I pretty much knew immediately that something was wrong. First, I thought I was renting this place, but when I arrived, there was a Dean tap on the front door signed with my name. My boss for my job, I hadn't even started yet, stopped by after, congratulating me on the role and the new place. He told me my pay was going to be much higher than discussed, and that the scope of the role would also be way different. I asked him to explain what he meant, and he just said I'd figure out over time. He was instinctive that if I did whatever he asked in a timely manner, that I'd live a quote-unquote safe and fulfilled life, end of quotes, quote-unquote. And so, for some strange fucking reason, you then thought it'd be a great idea to text me to come here? No, I never texted you. I never texted anyone. I ignored everyone's calls, messages, everything. I didn't want anyone to get stuck into this nonsense with me. But I guess it didn't matter anyways. Something reached out to you pretending to be me, which seems that something wants you here." I tensed up. "So, I mean, we should get the fuck out of here then, right? Why didn't you just leave?" Funny enough, I almost did. But then someone explained to me ambulances. Yeah, they should be here soon. Bryce put a finger on his lips. The room went quiet for a minute until the distant roams of a ambulance reached our ears. Bryce got up and moved to the kitchen window. I followed. The sirens blared, grew louder and clearer. Outside the window we could see it approaching. It turned a corner and parked on the road only a few houses away. Then I saw it. The back door of the ambulance opened from the out and stepped a man cloaked in thick garb from head to toe. He put a drench on the back door, then another. All the drench had people on them, people whose head had been completely visible, crunched on the crimson red flesh and carved where faces should have been. Once all the stretchers had been pulled out and left on the road. The cloaked man returned to the ambulance from the back and then closed the door. The siren blasted again. The vehicle drove off. Bry? What the fuck? What the actual fuck? Am I freaking the fuck out? Bryce just stared at the stretches at the street. They were gently rolling off in different directions. Oh, man, he said, noticing a particular demolished body on one of the stretchers. I like that guy. We went grocery shopping together one time. Who the fuck are those people? People who tried to leave. That's what happens to them. And they're just left on the street? Sometimes. Other times they're brought to the incinerator or buried or chopped up or occasionally dropped off at someone's house. I was on the verge of a full-blown panic attack. Instinctively, I pulled out my phone and called the numbers 911. Wait, Rose. You don't want to do that. Rose, stop. His words bounced right off me. My brain was on autopilot. My body was moving on its own. I ran into the door, slamming the door shut, and leaned against it. He knocked violently. Rose, you don't want to do that. You don't know what you're doing. Please, hang up, please. Everything was fine. I had a half-basket plan in my mind. I would call the number, then ask the operator to transfer me to a different country, the NYPD. They're known what to do. I hit call and waited for the number. Finally, 911, what's your emergency? Hi, I replied. I need to get closer to the nearest police department outside of the Justice, maybe in New York's. Sure. Can you help me? Just know what's your emergency? Bryce pounded with even more force. Yeah, so there's an ambulance that, on our street. It had bodies in it. Bodies on stretchers and looked like they'd been completely fucked up. And then the bodies were just thrown on the street and... Right. And sorry, these were people who were trying to leave town? What? I'm sorry. Could you say that again? Yes, there were bodies on stretchers, people who tried to leave the area. She said the last 6 words slowly, as if she thought it was stupid. Stunned, I tried to retract to her back at the point. There's also a man who showed up in our yard. He had a picture of me. There's no way he could have had the picture of me. Right. And sorry, did you take a photo before this man showed up? What? Bryce seemingly slammed on the door and his whole body. I was struggling to keep close. Where are you now? We can send someone to you immediately. No, thanks. Are you sure, ma'am? I promise. It'll be fun. Horrified, I hung up. I released my hold on the door and burst it open, sending me tumbling downwards into the floor. Bryce entered, looming above me in anger. You didn't tell them where you were, did you? I desperately shook my head. No, I didn't. He sighed of relief as if his whole body were exhaling from him. Thank fucking God. He addressed me with disappointed dad intentions. You have to stop doing that. Fucking please. If they called someone to this place, you could have gotten us killed. Or even worse, I've heard stories. Man, the people in this neighborhood talk. I stopped myself from expecting the worst meant. Where the fuck are we, Bri? I asked. What the fuck is this? I don't know. He wore expressionless on his face. I could tell he was on his own breaking point. I got up and gave him a hug, more than my sanity than anyone else. As I held him, the sinking skin crawled sensationally and felt like trapped, consumed me. I wanted to sob, but I just couldn't. We returned to the living room and tried our best to settle it again. I'm trying, he said, to piece together exactly what's going on here. I have some idea of the things that we should avoid doing, but still, there are lots of questions that are unmarked. I said nervously. I took a quick peek outside the spot of a sign shaped like an arrow pointing to the left and read it. Exit this way, smiley face. Before I could ask more questions, I heard the phone vibrating. He checked it. He said, "They have another job for me." He said, "Another job?" "Yeah, a task I was hoping I could avoid for some time. Wish me luck." He went back to his room. Then he emerged. He was wearing a cloak not too dissimilar to the one the ambulance driver was wearing. He left some time ago. He gave me some clear directions before stepping out. Keep the doors locked until he came back. Try not to panic. I'll try not to overthink the second one. He also showed me a special hand signal to use when he comes back. He told me that I should, under no circumstances, open the door until he flashes the gesture. It's a good thing he told me, 'cause only an hour after he left, it felt like he had already returned. He's standing at the door right now, softly knocking, while wearing a wide smile on his face. He hadn't flashed the signal yet, so I'll probably hold on letting him in.